Yeah, the HOK is the toughest environment. Enter at your own risk is the toughest environment. The HOK is the toughest environment. Yeah, stay strong, don't cry. It's the toughest environment. Yeah, no handouts here. You have to earn your respect. And when you do, you make they ass regret. They call it the toughest, and the title is earned from the bridges we crossed and the lessons we learned. In a cool-blooded kingdom, a concrete cage. Muslim, Christian, Israelites step on the stage. I dare you, I dare you, I dare you, I dare you. In a cool-blooded kingdom, sa.neter created. HOK, where you can't fake it. The HOK is where you fight back. No room for error, no window attack. It's a masterclass, how you handle the heat. Where the pedigree is written on the concrete streets. Toughest environment, yeah, we know the score. Locked in on debate and asking for more. The HOK is the toughest environment. Enter at your own risk is the toughest environment. The HOK is the toughest environment. Stay strong, don't cry. It's the toughest environment. Yeah.
Black African power was good, was happening, well-organized lie. Defeats a disorganized truth every time. Woohoo-wee, man. Y'all already know what it is, man. It's God killing the house, man. Look, got a great topic today, man. Coming in peace, being cordial. So when I do my thing over here, man, if I decide to drop the link, get on there and be cordial. No need for howling, screaming, and running back and forth. It just don't make no sense to do it that way, all right? We just got to be willing to have a conversation, man. And I'm going to tell you this, based off what I understand, right? A lot of times, as our development, as a people, as just human beings, period, we will argue past what we understand. We will argue through our ignorantly. Do it all the time. And we're all subjected to that because we're all subjected to the forces of nature. And that's part of who we are as Homo sapiens. And then when you add in the culture and you add in skin color and you add in imperialism and you add in all the factors that's got us here today, it's a wild conversation. And one of those wild conversations is actually claiming that, let me get this thing right here. Goodness gracious, man. First of all, man, I'd like to say hi to everybody in the chat, man. Everybody participating in the conversation and all the science deniers, all the believers, all the atheists, all the non-atheists, Gnostics, and everybody that's in earshot of the conversation should be willing to learn. When you stop trying to learn something, that's when you actually die. Socially, mentally, and spiritually, if you believe in that. So this conversation has to be elevated at all times. Talking over each other is not an option. Cussing people out is no longer an option. That's when it put me in my best position to give out the information that I'm giving out. Most of y'all, most of the time, don't recognize that I sat in the same position as all of y'all. Everybody. We come in this thing with bright eyes, wanting to conquer the world. They lied to us. We all come in at the same space of trying to understand what reality is to us. In our families, most of us, we come in as Muslim, Christian, the Jews, most of us is Christian. That was the religion of the day. That's That was the religion that was part of the enslaving process. And then we'll get some Hebrews and everybody else make the statement. That's not true. It is true. Papist bulls created by Christians. If you do not have a Christian monarch, we can enslave you and bring you to Christ. These are the words that echo through colonialism. Craziest thing ever. And they followed that course. They drew the line down the map. It's called the demarcation line. All these things can be looked up. I'm trying to get this thing in order right here. Let me get this right. Let me see. All right. Man, and big up the sa.neter allowed me to access the platform. And I want to shout out the pseudo killers in the community of skeptics. When we had these high level conversations on science, where we do not allow people to deny science right in front of our faces. We do not have to be science deniers to understand science. You can keep your religion. I know I'm person out here to tell you what to believe and what not to believe. I'm here to make a distinction between belief and knowing and knowledge. That's what I'm doing. So if you want to get up here and prove that you got a God that ain't that and stuff, man, that's on you. Right? Have a wild conversation based off of that is not beneficial to me because I don't care what God you believe in or how you pray to that God. For me, as my development as a human being in the space of African Americans, if you own a new fad of being an FBA, and there's no shots, then that's what it is. But I'm comfortable with saying Black American or African American, but I don't got no problem against the brothers that want to claim themselves to be FBA. We're going to have conversations around that on here too. All right. We've had those conversations on pseudo killers, community skeptics, and we'll have these conversations here. I always felt like I'm best fit to have these conversations because I have experienced, from being religious minded, fighting against religion, coming into understanding scientific literacy. I did all that. And as y'all develop, y'all gonna go through all that. All I can tell y'all is don't get stuck. All right. So the conversation with Apostle the Ignorant has been transpiring. And he got it honest. He's already engulfed in religious thinking. That's okay. But when he tries to apply the religious thinking to scientific concepts and ideas, that is when the conversation takes an evil and wild turn. This is when the argument and the bickering goes back and forth. This is when emotions start to fly on both sides. And my thing is, if we don't overtalk each other, we allow each other to talk. You're saying, well, goddamn, Unc, well, you cut people, right? I'm cut people off. Okay, so we turn over a new leaf. We're not cutting each other off. Because I feel like the elevated conversation has to be done with elegance and grace. What I mean is, you cannot give a lecture. That's one of the problems. People get frustrated through lectures. Okay? The point is, make your point, have your point together, say it, right? In the confounds of conversation, not in lecture form, and we can back and forth. And that's what I'm looking for. If you got to come up here and talk me to death, then you really don't have nothing. You don't have to convince me. Make your points, make them strong and solid. So this thing between syphilis and the old world, the new world, that's very interesting. So I'm going to start off with that, and I want to end in the Stone Age and the belief in God. Just want to brush them up real quick, okay? So it is important to understand Stone Ages and all that, man. I see you, Stephen. The homie was good, man. Canaan, right? I see you. Revolutionary, I see you. They're in the building. Appreciate y'all sliding on through with clarity. So let me get this misconception. See, so there's a misconception. When we talk about syphilis in a complicated way you pronounce that daggone word, is very, very interesting. When we talking about syphilis and in the Americas and in Europe, There's some things, there's some concepts that one has to just understand, man. I promise you. Like, we're sitting there watching people read the Wikipedia article, and I always say, start with Wikipedia and end in high-level sources, Journal of Nature, Journal of Science. And it's because it takes a certain level of comprehension to comprehend any of those sources. So I want to try to make it as simple as possible. The problem is most of us don't understand how science is transmitted or what we're actually listening to. So normally, in an everyday basis, when we have regular conversations, we're looking for the final answer. But the final answer theme is actually a religious theme, because religion offers up the final answer and everything. There's no room. You can't falsify it, meaning there's no room to falsify God. God can't be wrong, correct? There is a God. That's it. Can't falsify. There's no way to measure. There's no material that you can measure to say whether it is or whether it's not. And this is the origin of people's religion. It's based off of something you can't prove nor disprove. That puts a cap on the wisdom and knowledge. You can't just change a religion. You can't say we found an archaeological survey that really an archaeological survey that's where they post digs and information based off of experts surveying certain strata, that's the levels in the dirt on certain items and dating. You can't bring that in and say, you know what, Jesus Christ was really, it was his sister that was the daughter of God, and we got all the evidence right here. Man, they're gonna kick you out the room. There's no room to change that. You can't say, well, okay, next example, Jesus Christ died on the cross. That's the standard. That's what make the religion the religion. This man cheated death on the cross, right? Sacrificed by his father, right? Both from son and father, that get mixed up, but it's essentially saying that the Romans crucified him on the cross. If you was to find evidence in the whole written documentation of that particular time period and say, actually, right, he never made it to the arena to get crucified. He actually got ran over by a Roman chariot, and we actually found his body. We can see, we took x-rays, we see that the chest cavity was caved in, and it's identified as being a Roman chariot. We got the evidence. They're going to look at you and call it heresy. You might die, right? No one's accepting that. Now, science is different. Although science is always resistant to new information, that's just part of it. But over time, that new information can get brought in based off of being tested rigorously over and over again. Things can change. So in science, we always speak in proximates, okay? We never speak in absolutes. This is where the issue came up with, quote unquote, apostle to the ignorant. He's looking for a final answer. This is the answer. You got two hypotheses. He doesn't even understand what a hypothesis is. He doesn't even understand that when dealing with viruses and pandemics, right, you rarely find a scientific theory. They don't even deal with scientific theories in quote unquote in biology, dealing with pathogens and stuff like that. That's going to throw you, I told you, that's going to throw you out the box. If you're thinking it's not trained to understand scientific ideas and concepts, if your perception is not looking through the lens of science, you'll just think I'm crazy. You'll think you don't know what you're talking about. And I know. So for the last 20 years, as y'all seen me develop in front of this damn camera, I've been trying to acclimate y'all to scientific ideas and scientific concepts, what a scientific theory is, what a scientific law is. Does a law usurp a theory? Does a theory usurp a law? Do it need to be a law? All that is pertinent to understand the conversations I have. So I want to make sure I slow it down. And having arguments around there, howling, screaming over, talking people, it cheats the audience. Although you may not agree about what I'm talking about, you're getting cheated if you can't understand it. If you're in a college class, elementary class, high school class, you can't have a teacher teaching and the students arguing back and forth about stuff they barely know about. We don't get it. So I had to reorganize thoughts and just readjust how I want to get this thing out. Simple as that. All right. Gideon, I see you in there. Hey, always. Oh man. Okay, so we're gonna get this thing going, man. Big up to the building. Got 76,000 in here, man. And I'm gonna drop my Cash App too. I'm gonna pin that. All right. Because that's how we do around here. I'm gonna drop that too. And go ahead and get something. All right, that's gonna go directly to help me do what I gotta do. All right. And so it's a great topic. Is there evidence for belief in God in the African Stone Age? Now, let me kind of let you into the back office of why I'm doing this. All right. I'm doing it because most religious people think that in the beginning God created heaven and earth, right? That's fine. That's part of their mythology, right? And we think God was always there in the minds and in the hearts of the people. We think that. And based off of where we believe or what we believe in or what religious ideas we have accepted, we actually think that those people are the vanguard for bringing in or ushering in God. Like God picked these people and came through them and out of the mouths, right? People start to teach on that subject. The reason I teach evolutionary science is because it will allow you to approach the conversation differently. This is important. You have to be able to learn how to approach things differently. Do not be afraid. We was brought over here enslaved, and those Africans, for them to endure, they couldn't be afraid. Can't show no fear. So as a religious person, you start to show fear when you resist scientific ideas. You start to show fear when you actually think that your God that you believe in needs to have science. God don't need science, y'all. As a believer, let me tell you, you tripping if you think God needs science. God can do everything at all times. Omnipotent, omnipotent, and omnipresent. And everything at all times, all powerful, nothing come before God. So why would God need a thing that humans created for understanding their natural world? God wouldn't need that. So you actually show fear when you're trying to introduce scientific concepts in time periods where the thinking was not there yet. Now, why am I saying it? Because I'm saying things evolve. And I'm talking about evolution now, as far as biological evolution. I'm saying culture evolves, humans get better, humans may get worse in things, but we start to build upon things and we get to this point. The reason this particular conversation is important because I can clearly show you in the archaeological record, based off what humans were doing, I can show you how they would get you to the point of quote unquote monotheism. Because if they was dealing with monotheism, there are things we could see. No, there's a progression to monotheism. But why would it have to be a progression to monotheism? Because if it was just a God in one particular place and area, then it would have just been that. But we see humans work their way towards that. Now, for when I have these conversations, right, I'll continue to make it clear. When I say humans, I'm not just talking about Homo sapiens sapiens. See, that's another thing. You got Homo habiligensis, you got Homo neanderthal, Homo neanderthalis, Homo denisovans, Homo erectus. You have different types of humans that reside on Earth. Sometimes at the same time, at which Homo sapiens sapiens is at the end, at the last line of it. There's no more humans left but us. Simple. So, how is it that other ancient humans, now Homo sapiens sapiens, start to show trappings of burial practices? Which you can even say, well, the burial practice because they was trying to deal with the afterlife. All right, bet. That's how you looking at it. How is it that ancient humans that predate Homo sapiens sapiens start to have certain symbols? If it was just that God came to Homo sapiens sapiens because Isaac and Jacob and Moses and they was Homo sapiens sapiens. But why is it that we see development in other human species of showing some type of endearment for burying they dead? What is the reasoning behind this? Why have they buried certain items? What is this? We can see that, and I'm gonna show y'all. All right. So we, this ain't a fight, man. This is serious. So I want to first start off with this. I want to kind of clear some things up. Okay. I want to talk about this particular conversation in terms of the consensus. I think it's important. Okay. Want to have this conversation in terms of the scientific consensus on the matter, okay? The origin of syphilis. Man, give me 1 second. All right. And I appreciate everybody in the chat, man. All right, let me get here. Man, Treponelium pallidum. Treponelium pallidum. Man, I got to get that pronunciation right. Treponelium pallidum. Now, I'm just going to say syphilis, man. Treponelium pallidum. Did I say that right? I think I did, man. Let me, I ain't shared the screen. Did I share the screen? Oh, hold on. Goodness gracious. Oh, man, I thought I was sharing the screen. I know y'all can't see the screen. Goodness, man. I ain't never had a problem. Oh, shoot. Treponelium pallidum. Treponelium nemia pallidum. That's the correct pronunciation. I'm just going to say syphilis. I ain't even going to get me going through that today, man. Goodness gracious. That's a wild word. These are scientific words, though. All right. And so let's start off with what's the consensus? Why was it that there was not an understanding of this? All right. Why Apostle the ignorant couldn't get it? Because he was ignorant on how science conveys his ideas. When I say ignorant, I'm simply saying not know. He knows more about the biblical text and understanding how these ideas are conveyed in the scientific ideas. Not gonna gig him on that. He was actually looking for an answer that's just like, that's what it is, but that's not how science works. And that's where most people get me. Okay, scientific consensus on the origin of syphilis. This is 2026. Interdisciplinary synthesis. Okay, paleopathology, history, genomics. All right, talking about diseases, pathogens. It's a current major positions on biomedical research. At the source at the bottom of the page, Schulerman, 2018, PLOS, Journal of Nature. By the way, the access to these articles are free. Consensus answer. Okay, venereal syphilis originated in the Americas, introduced into Europe after the 1492. Rapid epidemic spread in the late 15th century Europe. So how do we get to talking about syphilis? Well, I was trying to convey the idea to FBA or anybody that thinks that there were Africans in pre-colonial Europe, okay, or pre-Columbus Europe. I was giving you an evolutionary answer to why that's not right, no matter what you say. Because Europeans and Africans, look on the map, had contact in the old world. They consider everything the old world until you get to the Americas. North America, South America is considered the new world because Homo sapiens sapiens had migrated to that area somewhere around 30 to 25,000 years ago, and they were separated from the rest of the human population to the point where there are unique genetic markers that only occur in North America. And so they developed diseases, epidemics that was not prevalent in the Americas. And then there were epidemics and diseases that was in America that was not prevalent in the old world. Remember, I'm saying the populations were split. They did not have contact for about 30,000 years. So there couldn't have been pre-colonial Africans or pre-Columbus Africans in the Americas. Because if that was so, they would have brought the antibodies with them. And in bringing the antibodies with them, like smallpox, right, they wouldn't have been decimated from it. That's how the conversation got started. That is a guaranteed checkmate piece in any of the conversations. Skin color is a different thing. It is. Total different thing. All right, let me keep moving. So that's how we got to this. Some kind of way it got separated. The biases on how you feel about white people got in the way. You feel one way and still be wrong on the information. You can think a person is one way, but the information that we're talking about is wrong. That's why we use the scientific method, so it kind of slow down your biases on anything. Our five senses will trick us. Now, let me keep going. Let me keep it very simple. So we see venereal syphilis originated in the Americas, introduced into Europe after 1492, rapid epidemic spread, okay, in the 15th century, Europe. Syphilis, I already pronounced it, and I'm going to keep doing it, sexually transmitted, okay, trypanoma disease, distinct from Yars, Benjil, and Penta. Ancient DNA evidence. Still with the ancient DNA evidence. There was no ancient DNA evidence in 1492. That understanding had not developed until the 1900s, where they rediscovered Mendelian laws. Then they start talking about genes and DNA. Didn't even have an understanding of how biological life evolved, okay, in 1492. They didn't have it yet. So when they document the first recorded cases in Europe, this other information wasn't there yet. Hope y'all can understand that. So, pre-Columbian syphilis genomes recovered in the Americas, basal and sister lineages to modern syphilis. European strands are diverged, not ancestral. This is a very, very important point right here. Trypanomal genomes, meaning the basal. When you see the word basal, that means the original, the foundation, the oldest. Okay, basal, the oldest. Sister, you know what a sister is? Like you got your sister, not you, but that's my sister. Lineages. So basal and sister lineages, watch this, of modern syphilis, European strands are diverged. You know what diverged? Like you diverge, meaning they break away from. They're not ancestral. When we say ancestral, we're saying like your mother, your father, your great-great-grandma, that's your ancestor. So they're not the basal. They break away from that. They are diverged, not ancestral. See how important the word diverge is in the sentence? It's slow, bro. The learning is slow. All right? I'm going to try to speed it up so y'all don't just lose y'all way. Because we teaching, right? Max Planck contributions. Look up who Max Planck Institution is. Ancient pathogen genomes, reconstruction of prehistoric syphilis genomes, strong molecular support for American origin. Key word here, strong molecular support for American origin. Strong. Not speaking in absolutes. That's not how science works. And if you can't understand how science works, you're sitting there looking for, yes, that's what it is. That would be religious thinking. Yes, that's what it is. Jesus Christ died for your sins. Now, I keep using this example so you can see there's a difference there. Not knocking it, I'm saying it's a different way of thinking. Pathological evidence, clear. Triple lesions in pre-1492 American skeletons, diagnostic ambiguity in medieval European remains. No continuous European disease tradition. Okay? That's in skeletons in pre-1492. So before that, there's no continuing European disease like Rick that can always document, yeah, it's here, it's here, it's here. It's not there. It just pops up out of nowhere. Historical epidemiology. Sudden occurrence. You know what an epidemic is, right? That's the study of epidemics, epidemiology. It says sudden appearance in Europe, 1494 and 1496. This is clearly 4 or 5 years after contact with native populations in the Americas. Only take a couple months to get from Africa to Europe, right? So we're looking at what's plausible here. The first epidemic documented during Italian wars. So these are French troops that are fighting in the Italian wars. Okay, contact. No prior classical medieval description. So in classical time, they don't have a description of that. Yeah, I know there's some ideas out there that somebody gonna bring up, and we'll have to deal with that later on. All right, but right now we're cooking with hot grease. Okay, brief history of syphilis. Historical emerging patterns reviewed. Harper, it's at the bottom of the slide. Look at the bottom of the slide. Y'all can screenshot it and look it up. It's a rejected or minority view. So in science, you got rejected views and a minority views, meaning not the consensus, but a small amount. So apostle, the ignorant, he wants to lean towards the minimal amount, the majority. My fault. The minority amount. He wants to lean to that side. Why? Because it best fits his biases that he have against Europeans. That's not good for making a healthy decision on the proper data and how to see it. It's a pre-Columbian European origins, independent European evolution. These lack genomic support. Just that simple. It lacks genomic support. Didn't have no genomes back then in 1492. Didn't even know about it. They even put it there. How about that? Scientific synthesis. Syphilis diseases are ancient, and global venereal syphilis is a recent specialization. America equals ancestral reservoir. You know what a reservoir is? Like something that's holding. So in America, there's reservoirs for the syphilis. Okay, there's reservoirs there. All right, that you can that they can verify that. All right, let us move forward. All right, let's keep rocking. Conclusion: as of 2026, consensus supports an American origin. All right, Europe was secondary epidemic zone. So they're not denying that it was an epidemic in Europe, but they're simply saying that Europe was a secondary epidemic zone. That's important. And here's your selected peer review and institutional sources. Screenshot it, do your due diligence. Max Planck, Evolutionary Anthropology, 2024. Syphilis had its roots in the Americas. Okay? The origin and antiquity of syphilis revisited. An appraisal of the old world and pre-Columbian evidence for syphilis infection, American Journal, a physical anthropology. Not going to read all of it, but Schulerman, okay, ancient genomes reveal a deep history of syphilis disease in the Americas, the Journal of Nature. So these are the sources, right? This is the conversation. So now, What would falsify? When we say something has to be falsifiable, we're talking about you have to be able to prove it wrong. That's why you can't prove God wrong or right. Can't prove it. It's unfalsifiable. But what would falsify the Columbian hypothesis? Now, it's another side. Now, it would take what? A securely dated 1492 old world genome, a Tepophona filium, subfilium. Okay? Securely dated, though. It would also take an ancient European or old world syphilis genome that are phylogenetically basal to the new strands. Ancient European or old world, okay, genomes that are phylogenetically basal to new world strands. That's syphilis. They want to look, they need to have that. Ancient European or old world, okay, that are basal to the new world strands. Maybe we don't have that, but that's what it would take to falsify when they say there is no basal genomes in Europe. But if they was to find that, it would falsify that. You say, okay, we would be cooking then. Okay, all right. You would have to have some kind of genomic continuity between medieval Europe, Teponomo genomes, and modern venereal syphilis. That has to be demonstrated. All right, we need demonstrated genetic continuity between medieval European, all right, syphilis genomes and modern venereal syphilis. They don't got that. Watch this. We would also need independent radiocarbon dating confirming pre-Columbian context with no post-1492 contamination. Results can be contaminated. They don't have that. Replication across multiple sites and laboratories following established ancient DNA authentication criteria. So it would take multiple labs in different parts of the world, all right, to actually replicate the studies that they claim they have found. This is what it would take to falsify the pre-Columbian hypothesis, the Columbian hypothesis. So if you want to falsify the Columbian hypothesis, which says the origin of particular disease, you would have to be able to falsify that. This is how science works. And I hope that didn't complicate the whole thing. And I hope it didn't. All right. Now, while skeleton lesions alone are insufficient without genomes, they're just insufficient. And so some of y'all will pull up some of the documents, right? And y'all say, but wait a minute. Hold on one second, y'all. So treponemal disease, that's syphilis, right, produces overlapping skeleton lesions. Classical markers are not exclusive to venereal syphilis. Post-dispersal damage and pathology can mimic pathological changes. Radiocarbon dates may not be correct while disease, attribution remains incorrect. Ancient DNA provides, taxonomic resolution that skeleton morphology alone cannot. See, all this is important here. Screenshot didn't read that. The source at the bottom and read the source. All right. So let me read this chart real quick and we can get out this framework. Let me see if I can get to the chart real fast. The verdict chart. Let me get you the verdict chart. Hold on. All right, so we got the verdict chart here. So Columbian, talking about the two hypotheses, Columbian versus pre-Columbian hypothesis on the origin of syphilis. The evidence, ancient DNA, Columbian hypothesis. Pre-1942 American genomes, basal lineages. Remember we talking basal, the oldest lineages. Now, pre-Columbian hypothesis, talking about the old world. No confirmed pre-1942 old world genomes. They don't have it. Remember, they need to have that to falsify the Columbian hypothesis. Okay? Phylogenetics. Okay? European strands are diverged. Remember we talked about that? Divided, my fault. They broke away from the basal. Look, no basal European clades. I'm going to say it again. There are no basal European clades. This is genetic evidence. It's not me. All right? Skeletal data matches American. Okay? What's this? Trypanosis. Am I saying that right? Hold on. I'm going to get this right. I don't want to mess this up. I'm going to get this right. Pronounce this correct for y'all. 1 second. Make sure we're pronouncing everything right so we don't have no nitwit in the daggone thing. You know, just talking reckless. You know, and reckless, and that be the joke at times. So y'all have to get up here and have to do it. Let me pronounce this right. Let me see what the pronunciation is. Let's see.
Treponematosis.
Treponematosis. Woo! Treponematosis. All right. Ambiguous, non-specific lesions, meaning they don't actually have it. It's non-specific. And pre-Columbian hypothesis. Historical record. Now, we see, with all this evidence, you got to have historical. So you can't just talk DNA without having the historical record behind it. All these things are at play. There are different lines of evidence that got to come together so you can get your answer and see which way you lean in. Columbian hypothesis. Sudden epidemic after 1492. Is this not what happened when Christopher Columbus come back? All of a sudden, there's a sudden epidemic. That's what the history says. That's when they talk about the recorded syphilis. That's part of the history. And pre-Columbian hypothesis, no clear medieval descriptions. The verdict would be strong, they say evidence strongly favor Columbian hypothesis. This is how science reaches that. It doesn't mean it's final. There may be some evidence to come back to change all this, and I'll do a show and say, yo, it has changed. And this is where most people can't even handle it. They be like, what? Because we want to be stuck in religious thinking where the answer is just final, man. That's how we was raised, yo. Most of us wasn't raised in an environment that promoted science literacy. We was raised in an environment that promoted religious thinking to have a belief in a particular deity. That's why you hear African Americans say proudly with their chest stuck out that the African is the most religious. The African Americans believe they believe harder than Christ. We're proud to say we're the most. We have the most beliefs. So probably check that and balance that out. But that's why the conversation is a wild conversation over where the origins of syphilis is. That's why it's wild, because people are arguing but don't understand what science is actually saying. Science ain't speaking in absolutes, man. So y'all can rewind this just to get to it, okay? So let's get on with our lecture, man. And you know I'm appreciating everybody in the building. Yes, I do. I certainly do. All right. And I'm gonna make sure. I will certainly make sure I drop the link to have a healthy conversation. I'm telling you, man, I'm not doing it, bro. I'm not doing that with y'all, man. I'm not. I can't let y'all get me like that, bro. I think Apostle's the last one. He's the last man standing on that, yo. Yeah, he's the last one on that. And I'm not letting nobody get me in that cipher no more. Scream, can't nobody hear, cuss him out. Yeah, then I gotta be on my best behavior because I'm representing the community of skeptics, man, and the pseudo killers, which is a brand that is dedicated to both scientific literacy. Big up to Dr. Oyama conscious ingenuity. If y'all ain't with that, y'all got to get with that. I do a show with her time to time. She has a healthy platform centered in the African ideology. You know, I do the scientific show. Mine is centered in science and science literacy. Although Dr. Miyashi also promotes science and science literacy. All right, but her is lean more towards it's not just one spot, but she's a Pan-African, and the ideology is there for her to do that. I'm not a Pan-African. I seek to see the world through the lenses of science. And although she also views the world through science, but like I said, you can have all other things connected to that. It's just, it is what it is. It's part of what make humans. It's part of what make us, healthy. All right. So I dropped the cash app, right? You think the material is where it's supposed to be. Show some love. It's not, then don't worry about it. All right. And it wouldn't matter, then would it? All right. So it's there. Okay. So my next move is to get to the presentation of the day. Let me see if I can get through this. See if I can get through it real easy style. Okay. So what I want to talk about is there evidence for the belief in God, right? In the African Stone Age. All right. Look up what Stone Age is. Like 2.5 million years, somewhere in that. Stone Age. All right. We look it up to make sure we're sure. All right. Let's get the dates for the Stone Age. All right. So we ain't just tripping. On this show that I have, we're not afraid to look up stuff to be precise. Yeah, I remember coming into the community, bro, where you ain't look up nothing. Just say it. Just say it. Bobby Hemmings and them. Just say it. Yeah. And then you get mocked for looking up something. Go imagine that. All right, let's add another million onto it. 3.2 million years ago. 3.2. Let me get the exact. Let me see. Stone Age. There you go. Stone Age. Phew. Stone Age was the broad prehistoric period during which stone was widely used to make stone tools with an edge. It's a point of. Let me see. Hold on, man. With points, my fault, and surfaces. It say the period lasted from roughly 3.4 million years and ended between 4000 BCE to 2000 BCE. There you go. Well, when man start working in metal, iron. All right, Iron Age. You got the Iron Age where they working in iron. All right, so let's move on. Let me get this right. Okay. So I'm gonna take you back. So I'm in the Stone Age, 3.4 million years. There are humans there, but they're not Homo sapiens sapien. Don't get that confused. Don't get confused when I use the word Homo sapien. All right, just don't. Big up to everybody, to the audience in the chat. Got 91,000 here, man. Y'all get used to me coming through here, doing my thing. Make sure y'all like and subscribe, man. We want to make sure we build the channel up, man. Keep it going. All right. Also, I'm here and I represent the pseudo killers in the community of skeptics. So y'all can go support that channel where we get into the scientific thinking. All right, strictly that. Important. We deal with issues. We will be doing reaction videos on the pseudo killers, dealing with basic topics, just reacting to it, so y'all can see how people who look like you, who do not believe, react to certain things. See? And I know I get the non-belief is the white man thing. That's crazy. Y'all can't even determine. There's no way to determine who believe what for real? Because it's baked like so. There's a resistance to people who don't believe. Right? Your family kind of ostracize you, push you out a little bit, push you to the margins. Oh, you don't believe? Oh man, looking at you a little crazy, right? You got to beat them up to make them respect that, right? All right, let me see if I can get this right. All right, this will take me about 5 minutes, and then we'll go ahead and let's say we'll go ahead and get right. We'll open up those lines. All right, we'll open up these lines and let y'all in. All right, have some fun and just discuss the topic, man. Show y'all support and non-support. You think I'm just a nut? Then say it. I ain't mad at you for that. All right. Okay, so we right here. All right. Is there evidence for belief in God in the African Stone Age? We are exploring the archaeological evidence in early symbolic and ritual behavior amongst Homo sapiens in Africa during the Stone Age. I gave you the time period what the Stone Age was. Now, the oldest finds for Homo sapiens is 350,000 years. That's the oldest. 350,000 years Morocco, that's archaic. Homo sapiens was another conversation. 260,000 in South Africa, that's Homo sapiens sapien proper. 190,000 years at Omo Valley. Okay, so there seems to be, watch this, a Pan-African origin of Homo sapiens sapiens developing on the continent of Africa in different spaces. Very interesting idea right there. Okay, the introduction. What counts as evidence? Understanding belief in God. Belief in God is a complex cultural concept when evaluating archaeological evidence. Researchers focus on specific questions that reveal, okay? All right, observable signs in human prehistory. So we want to look for signs, y'all, of what we can to see how people believed in these early time periods. Remember what I said earlier? It should already be there, fully intact. It should not be a thing that developed over time. We should already be at monotheism. If monotheism was the thing that humans did from the beginning, then we should be able to see it maybe. Or we may not see it these earliest time periods, right? But at least we should see it just go bloom out of nowhere. But guess what? That don't actually happen. Monotheism is probably one of the last things humans decided to do. I don't know if that's because God told them to switch up or what it was. But we do not see the one God popping up first. And that's an interesting point there. We can argue that. All right. Interpretive framework used by archaeologists. So they have to interpret the data. Okay. I'm going to say this again. And I know this is a place where people start howling and screaming. Oh man, they got it. They look at it. They interpret. Okay, can you hear me? Secure, stratigraphic context, and dating. Archaeologists rely on secure, stratigraphic, like stratigraphy. Man, I always get the words mixed up. God dang. Stratigraphic context. Damn. Dating to establish a timeline for artifacts and behaviors, allowing them to link cultural practices with specific periods in history. So when we're talking about the strata or stratigraphic, we're talking about layers in the dirt. So if we talking about the Roman Empire, we can go to Rome right now. city of Rome right now. And as you walk down the street of Rome, it's 2026. But if you started to dig down, you would run into the Roman Empire. And this would represent another date. So remember, cities are built on top of cities, or villages or towns are built on top of each other. And you can dig down. The deeper you dig down, the older the artifact is. That's why we know Homo sapiens sapiens evolved over time, because you go down to a certain part and you don't even see Homo sapiens sapiens no more. You start to find more archaic things. Remember I talked about the archaic Homo sapiens sapiens at 350,000 years? And then I talked about Homo sapiens sapien, or just Homo sapien look just like you at 260,000 years. See how that older date is more archaic, but it's deeper in the layers. All right. Technological, and microscope analysis. All right. Technological and microscope analysis are essential for understanding, okay, the composition and production techniques for artifacts, revealing the insight, okay, into the capabilities and practices of early humans. So they're using tools like microscopes, certain technological advances to bring the picture full circle. Those people back then didn't have that. Wasn't nobody digging up no graves to find the bones. When they was writing biblical texts or religious texts, none of this was in the game. Else, trust me, it would have been different. It was all based off of beliefs. But I just want to introduce to you how science started to reach these ideas. Now, we're talking about the belief in God in the Stone Age, and we're trying to figure out what tools can we use to trying to see exactly what rituals, what they was doing. We're trying to bring this picture forward. The Bible can't do it, okay? Toponomic assessment. Toponomic assessment helps archaeologists understand the processes that affect organic remains after death, providing context to how burial practices and environmental conditions influence preservation. Cross-site patterning. Cross-site patterning indicates cultural traditions and practices that are consistent across different geographic locations. Basically, what they're saying is that there's a group of people here, a group of people there. Let's look at both sites. Let's see where cross-site pattern occurs. Where these same patterns occur right here, so we know they had interaction with each other. Suggesting that behaviors are part of a broader cultural framework rather than isolated events. So the Bible is an isolated event amongst Hebrew traditions. In Palestine, it's isolated. It doesn't occur in the rest of the world, at least in the archaeological record. Y'all get that? See? Having one God is isolated in this particular area. Although we know Zoroastrianism is the first quote-unquote monotheist, strict to it. Then I know later on we'll try to make indigenous Africans monotheists and throw all that, well, they the angels and play the whole game. Whatever, man. Whatever. Bloom-Bloss cave engraving, pigment, and symbolic signaling. Now we talked about symbolic and thinking, right? Humans had to evolve this process biologically. So if anybody's been following me, I've been talking about Bloom-Bloss cave for years. I'm glad to have it on this show without people howling and screaming. What's the key archaeological site? Bloom-Bloss Cave, South Africa. Key site of the Middle Stone Age. Symbolism reveal early human cognitive complexity. Look it up. Through well-dated stratigraphy. The strata, the different levels, is well-dated. Where humans start to have, watch this, complex cognitive thinking skills. That means the brain has to evolve. Different mutations that is affected by radiation has to start to evolve. Natural selection takes place. And we start to see cognitive complex thinking. You don't just fall in the, like they say with Eve and Adam, they dove into fully thinking. That's not how it actually happened. It happened in a religious sense, but it didn't happen in a biological sense. And I'm trying to get y'all to see the difference. And you don't have to pit the two against each other. This can be your belief, but this can be your understanding. Engraved ochre evidence. Engraved ochre pieces show, intricate genomic designs indicating a pattern engraving approach likely for symbolic communication amongst early Homo sapiens. This is the proof of symbolic thinking, creating patterns. There's a time where humans aren't creating these patterns, and there's a time when they start to do it, and they can date that. Ochre processing and use. Ochre processing at Bloomloff Cave show early humans, curated pigments for social and ritual purposes. So this is the ochre is like a rock that they can easily crush up and use the different colors and pigment and start to convey certain sophisticated ideas. Later on, this will lead to writing, ladies and gentlemen, but you don't just start reading and writing. You got to start here. See how everything is predicated of what humans can assess and understand, and you'll take that to the next level and move up. It's like playing a video game. If you don't get past that stage, matter of fact, I'm gonna hit y'all with this. Science is like a daggone video game. What I mean is you go through different stages. If you keep getting killed at that daggone level 10, you don't move to level 11. The problem is in the conscious community, you keep dying at level 11. I'm trying to get you to the level of science. I'm trying to get you to understand. You keep dying at the damn level. And the only way you can move up is to what? It's to show accuracy and understanding that level to the point where you beat it. And if y'all can't beat that, you can't move forward. You'll keep arguing with me. You're going to say, I just think he's right. No, I'm just saying you got to get to the next level. Man, I think that was a damn good example right there. Almost finished though. Because I know y'all attention span get real short. Now, pigment use across the African Middle Stone Age. Widespread use of pigment use, particularly ochre, is prevalent across Africa and predate the emergence of clear figurative art. So you gotta have pigment use before you can get to figurative art. See, the step is a video game, conquer this level to get to the next level. The next level will be figurative art, but you can't just start making figures and stuff until you master the thing of creating pigment. When we say pigment, we mean color. Where do you get it from? How do you do it? It has to be widespread use before you move to clear figurative art. See how that works? Y'all thought people just popped up out of nowhere and started drawing figures, huh? That's not how it goes. The utilization of pigment goes beyond mere functionality and suggests deeper social and cultural meaning. Evidence for curation and selection. Evidence for large ochre assemblages and the processing of these materials have been documented at various Middle Stone Age sites, indicating the level of curation and selection that points to initial use. Intentional use. So they was intentionally doing it. It wasn't luck. Wasn't out of nowhere. They had moved. They had moved to the next step and was doing it intentionally, doing it over and over again. It takes a certain level of mental documentation at this point because they're not writing like that, right? Like you're passing these skills on to your son to father, father to son, or mother to daughter, however you're doing it. They're passing this on, and it's empirical because they're producing it over and over again. Cultural transmission of practices, cross-site, recurrence of ochre use across multiple locations emphasize the likelihood of cultural transmission, suggesting that these practices were not isolated incidents, but part of a broader cultural tradition. So it's a broader cultural tradition of processing these pigments that will later on be used in writing. But it's some stages before you can even get to writing. I'm showing you how you get to the stages. I'm showing you how religion kind of developed and how the belief in God developed. You just ain't pop up out of nowhere doing it. See? Very interesting. Comparative African evidence, ornaments, engraving, traditions, and burials. See, now we're introducing burials to this thing here. Now we've moved to the stage where we're starting to bury. See? Where ornaments, traditions of graving, shell, beads from turfalak. Tarfalak. It says, this is the point I want to make. Let me stop right here for a minute. And I think this is an important part. You process rocks that will crumble up and produce pigments. But before you do that, some cognitive skills have to be there. Some imaginative skills got to be there. You get to that point. You start passing this on for generations. Then you move to beads and shells, perforated. Now, serious shells from Turfalak, 82,000 years ago. We can't even process how long 82,000 years are. Humans barely recognize 100 years, y'all. Most of us don't live to 100 years. So when I say 82,000 years, you're not putting that in the framework. If I'm saying 82,000 years, people that believe in the biblical tradition only go back to around 600 BCE as far as being able to produce some written material. Okay, 200 BCE, but I said 82,000. There was no Bible in existence. There was nobody thinking about one. There was none of that at 82,000. Just processing shells for ornamentation, symbols. I want to put all this together for you. I want to show you how humans evolve their belief in God, and they ain't just pop up like that. And you can tell through their ornamentation, through their beads, through their ochre, through the paints and colors they presented. Later on, people in monotheism would look at this type of behavior and mock it, not knowing that out of this type of behavior ended up at monotheism, and there were steps to get to monotheism. Many gods, one God. Think about that. Okay? Engraved awkward eggshells, containers, okay? That full of rock shelter, South Africa, engraved orchid cells, 60,000 years ago, reflect early cultural identity and ornamentation standards. So now you engraving orchid cells, you putting symbols on it. Later on, we transition to writing. But if you ain't grabbing orchid shells and ornamentation and trying to put symbols and signs on it, you ain't even getting to the one God, because nothing pops up out of nowhere. Our thinking is pop up out of nowhere, but in reality, as we look at the archaeological record and dig down in the earth, in the strata, we find that nothing is just popping up out of nowhere. So I don't know why people think humans just popped up out of nowhere. I don't know why you think the way you think right now just popped up out of nowhere. It took time. Certain mutations had to occur. Now, I know for some of us, the conversation is hard, but it got to be had in an environment where we ain't hollering, screaming, arguing at each other and thinking each other to be a fool. Intentional burial at Panja Ya Sadi, East Africa. Evidence of early intentional burial 78,000 years ago. Careful excavation, that's when they digging up stuff, of anatomical positing indicate a developed understanding of death and afterlife. So now at this point, at 78,000 years ago, they postulate that there's an understanding of death. Like, okay, this man is gone, he ain't coming back. Is there a life after death at this point? Having nothing to do with monotheism, having nothing to do with religions that's in the Iron Age and the Bronze Age, where they work in bronze, that's what they call the Bronze Age. Having nothing to do with that, but this is the early trappings of it. You see how it's starting to come together? It's a bits and pieces at a time development stage. This is the way science works. This is the way the world works. Nothing popping up out of nowhere. Even when you get a woman pregnant, You don't have sex with her, and the next day the baby is there. That's the way y'all be thinking. That would be religious thinking. Almost there, from symbolic culture to belief in God. What can we infer? Symbolic cognition prevails. Early Homo sapiens showed symbolic cognition in rituals, reflecting diverse interpretations of their world rather than specific theology. They didn't have a theology yet. See, well, why did they just pop up? If the way the biblical text and the Quran say and all of the religious books say, then why would it have to develop? Why would we start out with a theology? Wouldn't God just give us a theology, y'all? Right? Rather than reflecting a diverse interpretation of the world. See? Yeah, we cook with high grease. Absence of high God concepts. So in this time period, the record shows absence of a high God. The notion of high God or singular created deity cannot be firmly established from the archaeological record in the Stone Age. Such concepts are more often associated with later, more complex societies than had developed written traditions and organized religions. I'm going to say it again. Such concepts are more often associated with later, more complex societies that had developed written traditions and organized religions. So it seemed like when you develop a written tradition is when you start playing with the monotheism. Like I'm going to say it like this. You would say the Egyptians was writing. The Sumerians was writing. Of course, they write first. But the question is, why didn't they develop a monotheistic tradition? Well, at the end of it, you'll start to see they'll start to come up like Akhenaten. He'll start to develop a monotheistic tradition. But it's in phases, y'all. That's my point of this conversation. Right? It's in phases. See, this is the high level conversation. We can talk to somebody and say, yeah, to get to the high God, it happens in phases over time. To at least 250,000 years ago. Yeah, this is the conversation. That's why y'all lose when you come up here with the mumble jumble. Monotheism linked to later societies. Monotheism as structured, a structured belief in a single deity emerges primarily, right, in literate societies. This indicates that early populations likely held varied and complex worldviews that could encompass multiple interpretations of existence, but these cannot be definitively linked to monotheistic beliefs. This indicates that early populations likely held very complex worldviews that can encompass multiple interpretations of existence. This is what I've been trying to tell y'all, but yet you get mad when I say I don't believe. Because I've worked on having an understanding. Almost done. Foundation for spiritual thought. The evidence indicates that early symbolic behaviors may provide a foundation for spiritual and supernatural concepts. Of course it do. These supernatural concepts, these spiritual concepts co-opted what has evolved in Homo sapiens sapiens, meaning we was already rigged for believing. And I always give the example of if you're in the savannah and the high grass moves, there's no time for thinking about whether it's a predator or the wind. You just get up out of there. As you're walking down the trail and the leaves rattle, you don't step on those leaves, you jump. Because you may step on a snake and get bitten, and to get bitten in the Stone Age means instant death. There is no understanding of poisons and how to stop them. There is none of that. If you get eaten by a predator, if you get bit by a predator, infection, and you're dead. And so you believe, those that had belief that if something was trying to kill them lived longer than those who did not. Because they live longer to push their gene pool forward, to have babies that would take those genes, that would give rise to babies that would take those genes. Once you get eaten, your genes stop. You don't pass them on to the next generation. So, evidence indicates that early symbolic behavior may have provided a foundation of spiritual and supernatural concepts. See? Suggesting that some early human populations had worldviews, right, enriched by symbolism. This does not verify any specific belief in a God, but rather points to conditions that could support spiritual thought. Everything is in transition. Homo sapiens sapiens is in transition, and spiritual thought and belief in God is in transition. Hell, another 1,000 years from now, monotheism may be on its way out. Who knows? Conclusion. Let me open up the panel. While direct archaeological evidence of a belief in a God during the African Stone Age is absent, the available evidence strongly indicate the presence of symbolic behavior. Remember I talked about cognitive thinking? Such as engraving, ornamentation, pigment use, and rare instances of intentional burials. Rare evidence of intentional, that was rare, see? Intentional burials. These behaviors suggest a capacity for spiritual or supernatural interpretations, supporting the idea that early Homo sapiens in Africa engaged in complex symbolic cognition. You know, prior to those archaeological finds, they thought that actually occurred in Europe at about 35,000 years, like Shaved Cave. That's a cave system, Shaved Cave. They thought that's where a symbolic thought occurred. Now we know it was actually in Africa. These behaviors suggest that the capacity for spiritual or supernatural interpretation, supporting the idea that Homo sapiens in Africa engaged in complex symbolic cognition. Nevertheless, definitive theistic beliefs, including monotheism, cannot be conclusively established from the archaeological record. Man, that's where we at, man. Yeah, we cooking with hot grease, man. See, that's how we supposed to do that, man. Let me read some of the super chats. Amara, what's going on, man? He says, all right, let me get this right first. Hold on. Goodness. Shoot. 1 second, man. I hate when you do this, bro. Man, how y'all feeling out there, man? I hope y'all enjoyed the little presentations, man. Y'all can take it back and hide it. Got 115,000 in the building, man. Y'all can take it back and hide it. Don't let nobody know you was looking at it. God damn, man. Why I hate when you do this, man. Why is this doing this, bro? I think it's actually something. Oh, I know how to get up out of that, Frank. Hold on. I got the trick. I'm gonna keep the trick in my head too. All right, right there. All right. He says, I disagree, but I respect this scholarship. Got it. Appreciate that donation right there, bro. Got it. All right. Santan. Appreciate that. All right. Man, peace. Black power, man. Darrell Robson. Big up to you, man. We drop that cash app, man. We'll get some odds to do the cash yappy. The cash yappy. We drop the cash yappy. Let me drop the link for anybody who want to jump on. All right, man. Man, yeah, I'm here, man. sa.neter TV. Promoting science and science literacy, promoting the community skeptics, promoting the pseudo killers, man. We'll have in-depth conversations on this, and we'll continue to raise a level of understanding. Y'all gotta know, man, you know, before we bulldoze through, why nobody talking about none of this, man. Whether you like it or not, whether you can comprehend it, whether you get it or not, come on, man. Let's see. No, so let's read this. He will never hit the link though. He says, see how old dudes be lying. Unc wants us to find theology manuscripts on leather, parchments. Laugh out loud. 50,000 years ago. First of all, I'm not ashamed of making it to the age that I've made it to, of 58. Quite proud of it. I already understand that you're a pseudo because you can't even comprehend what I just did for the people. You don't comprehend it at all. So I'm old. I don't want you to do nothing. I'm lying. I'm not asking. The conversation was, see, we don't got no parchment paper or parchment leather with writing on it at 160,000 or 78,000 years ago. You think I'm trying to ask for that? You just hating at that point because you couldn't have listened to what I was talking about. We was in the Stone Age archaeological record. We would not expect to find writing in the Stone Age. We would expect to find what we found. What I talked about was this would lead eventually to monotheism 350,000 years later. But since you don't want to learn or even comprehend, just stay right there. Stay right there with your hate. Because I'm not about to argue with you and act crazy over that because I never said none of what you said. You're not ready. You're stuck in the video game and you're stuck on level 3, bro. No, you're at level 1. You can't even get to 2. You're stuck. You keep dying. Man. Here we go again. Big old Snoop the Ump and the Pseudo Killers Squadron. Now it's appreciated. Thank you, bro. Yeah. Glad of that. Got the super chats rocking at this point. Appreciate that for real. So yeah, I ain't even talking about that, man. I'm gonna drop that link. Anybody want to get on and add to the discourse, man? Remember we talked about the syphilis, and we talked about how science does not talk in absolutes, which is important to any conversation that I'm having. If you're looking for an absolute answer for science, you're never going to get it. If you think that's the weakness in science, then you got 300 years, you got 300,000 years to dispute. We just do, man. Peace. Valsa, big up to you, man. Thank you for sliding over here, man. Appreciate that. So yeah, we got 126,000 in the room, man. The first caller. What's going on, man? I know you can hear me, Santana.
What up, Unc?
How you doing, brother? What's on your mind, man?
Everything cool. I find you in here, teaching, and that's great. But you kind of mess, what you were not messing nothing up, but you making your own mistake, and I'm not being facetious or nothing like that.
No, what I'm doing.
Hear me out. You kind of, with me and your conversations, you kind of, I guess it's just your zeal to teach, kind of tripping over your own feet, because your number one rule is you can't mix science with religion and belief. And that's what it appears that you're trying to do now. And I think it's a zeal for teaching. However, I just like to let this be known. As a belief system, a person, a spiritual person, whether a Christian, whoever it is, they have no reason to prove anything to you or to the world. They have an identity. I mean, they have a cause to share. See, through their proof is through the testimony which happened to them in their life. So religion and belief can't be explained to a person where it's written down in a book or it's like a scientific fact. That's why I agree with you 1%. You can't mix them scientific. You can't mix science and belief. You can't do that because, like I said, belief is internal within that person who believes, and the proof is in that person. So he don't have no way to prove it to you. He could just tell him his testimony, what happened to him, and how his belief, filled his heart with God, and how he is satisfied through his belief, through his testimony. Testimony is the key word. So when you dropping hard facts and truth, however, at the end of the day, we personally only know what the people told us how life came about through evolution. That's fine because it makes sense. But we can't explain belief, but only through the way it was explained to people, folklore and all things of this nature. And because my problem with the monotheism is we don't have any of our guys. People look like me and you, Uncle, who wrote the scriptures and wrote the rules that I know of. I got a paper right here that I've been, I have been researching. And the black guys, St. Augustine of Hippo, he was black. Tyrannular of Congress. He was black. I may say it wrong. James H. Cole.
Why, Bud, you versus me? We're on the same
Yeah.
Don't even worry yourself.
And through this of
Tertullian. Was it Tertullian? It got to be something like that.
hold on. Empress of Alexandria. These, look at here, huh? These was because I looked it up and I went to the
okay.
I went to dictionaries and I did my research. And
all right,
it's only 10 black scholars, huh?
Oh, you got freeze. You got freeze.
Okay, go ahead.
Too long. Listen, the presentation wasn't what you said it was. I wasn't mixing science with religion at all. I was simply giving you a discourse on when humans, since humans don't pop up out of nowhere, they're always in transition. They're always evolving. The brain evolved. So I'm simply talking about in the archaeological record, it shows when humans start to have cognitive thinking skills, where they start to develop pigment, which is paint. That's it. Listen. And it shows that they had a worldview that was incorporating a lot of different things. They show burial practices in some of them that was scant, right? I'm simply showing you that early humans, their thought process wasn't fixated on one item or one God or one thing they believed in. They had a complex belief system of different things. I simply showed the transition to get to the point where they started to believe in one God. I didn't say what was right, wrong, or difference. I'm showing you the archaeological record. This is not putting science in religion at all. You just missed.
No, I missed nothing. Now let me.
Yeah, see, this is what I can't do. Nope.
No, we're not. We just having a bill.
I can't do it for too long because you're not.
Yeah, I just got this. Listen, man.
Say it, but I'm saying you're not grasping what I'm saying. You're not grasping what I'm
real
saying.
Quick, you keep over talking.
Because I'm telling you, we're going to argue.
Why don't you listen to what I got to say?
Because you're off the course.
No. Okay, let me just say this real quick, and then you can go on.
Say it slow. Say it slow.
I'm gonna say it real slow. Once you say people not popping up from anywhere, that's where you make your mistake at. Because see, in belief, they have creation stories and things of this nature that says how they pop up, and then you are going against that. So you mixing it without even. I guess you don't even know what you're doing as far as the speech is concerned.
What? No, I'm talking.
When you said people don't pop up.
Human beings don't pop up, and I explain why. So you
understand. We know why.
Hold on. So you basically
know why.
No.
Belief say it do.
No. Why? Now wasn't the discussion?
Belief says it does.
The discussion today wasn't around.
Belief said it was made out of clay pot.
Wait a minute. No.
So they popped up. So what you gonna say to that?
The discussion was not around religion and how religion claims biological organisms come into being. The conversation wasn't about that.
But
the conversation was about how humans start the process thing. They don't just jump right to it. They develop over time to get to the point where they can even start to say, well, I want to create some pigment to draw. They don't even go right to drawing. I'm showing how development had to take place to even get to the point where they drew stick figures. It's our mind think we just popped up. I ain't say nothing about nobody religion. You said it there.
No, because that's where it goes to.
Bro, if I'm talking,
I don't understand what you trying to get scientific.
It only goes there when you can't separate the two. You can't do that yet. But that's not my. But no, you can't.
Got a whole people that's in church
that proving you can't do it because you're doing it now.
I'm trying to tell you what's going on. You act like you don't know.
If you're sitting there thinking I'm attacking your religion at this point,
no, you do not doing that.
Not you. I'm saying anybody in the audience is sitting there thinking I'm attacking your religion. They have to slow down. I'm at 78,000 years ago. That's where I'm at. Okay, I'm not at 3,000 BCE, right? I'm not in the Christian era. I'm not in the Hebrew era at 78,000, 84,000. That I'm in the Stone Age. So I'm simply, for the first time, I'm getting people to understand that there were human beings that looked like me and you that lived in the Stone Age. So I think we have right without a nut coming in here. Arguing about a religion, ain't no religion yet, bro. So why are we talking about it? I'm simply talking about early humans and how they live. Shouldn't we understand that too?
Yes.
Because sophisticated people in different communities have these conversations. I don't need you to bring me in Buddha at this point because I'm not knocking that. That's for, watch this. That's for later. Watch this. What they consider to be complex societies with complex writing skills, they start to make things monotheistic. The Egyptians was transitioning that way, and we talked about Akhenaten. But he was on the outskirts of it. They was dealing with the Greeks and all of them. They all had different deities. That's important to know when trying to understand the world we live in. Now, if you want to just box yourself in and just think that, okay, that's fine. I'm not knocking that. That's not my argument. My conversation is to show you how we developed to get all the way to the point that we would later on have monotheism. It's clear. So I'm not saying it's right, wrong, and different. I'm saying is we have to be able to learn and process information. We can't keep running around in circles like fucking Wishmacommon. He argued me down about the answers that science gave over syphilis. That's crazy because syphilis, because science does not say it absolute. It don't speak in absolutes. But Apostle, the idiot, can't get past that. He can't recognize that science don't work the way he wanted to work. He's working from a religious. He's fighting me with a religious thought process that says absolutely positively. There is no doubt that one, there is a God, and two, God died for the sins of humanity. There's no way to change that. That's where he's coming from. And I'm saying the world we live in for 8.5 billion people, right? It runs the gamut of thinking. And I'm telling you that the literate world, the scientific world, has different ideas around that. And I'm saying, don't we deserve that? That's all I'm saying.
Of course.
It's a trick bag to be stuck right there your whole life.
But can I say something now? But you dealing with millions and millions of people who's thinking like Apostle.
I know. So what you want me to do to that? That's their fault.
What I want you to do, like I said, you ran in when you listen. It comes to be conjecture come in when you said people popped up. Even before in the Stone Age, where did the people come from? Ask a religious person where did they come from.
I don't want to ask them. They don't have.
I'm trying to tell you, people has always been here, and a deity, God, has always made people. That is the consensus. And if you go against that consistency, you're going to have a going back and forth. You're never going to get an even build out of it. You can get one out with me because I believe in real.
Did you see me doing it though? Did you see me doing that? I was teaching today. I'm not arguing with a person that thinks that man started the garden.
All you gotta do is look in the chat.
But I don't remember. I stay out the chat though.
And I'm just speaking, metaphorically, man.
Yeah, but I'm not looking in that chat. I know
you're not. But I was in the chat, and you had adversaries, which is not necessary because you teach it.
It is necessary, bro.
No, see, now you say it is.
No, I'm saying
you had adversaries.
It's necessary.
They're going against what you're talking about.
But that's okay. That's healthy.
Right. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying it's there. Right.
But so what do you want me to do? Not teach because the person is ignorant to what I'm saying?
What I'm trying to tell you.
I know. Let me tell you what you're trying to tell me. When you said, because I didn't just say humans don't pop up. No, I didn't.
Humans pop up.
I talked about humans. I talked about monotheism, meaning the belief in one God. I said that idea, because it is an idea, bro. Whether y'all want to agree with it or not, it's a damn idea. And it comes from the mind of humans with cognitive thinking skills. And I'm saying that particular idea does not appear in the social archaeological record first. Humans started to do a lot of different things. I can make that statement.
I get you.
And then I can even say, right, that once it gets in book form, maybe that was better because maybe we was all over the place. But then you find the book form end up being all over the place too. But even that is okay. But we can't not talk about it because these scientific ideas come in contrast to what you believe. But that is okay. But you at least have to hear it. And I'm never not doing that. I'm not saying this is better, that's better. I'm not worried about my adversaries. Well, listen, my adversaries only are adversaries because they're ignorant on what I'm talking about.
Okay, now let me say this to you. Wow. And don't you think that monotheism is just an overpowering great thing that happened to this world? Because look at every Sunday.
No, Suntan, you got Suntan, you got Hinduism.
But look at Hinduism.
And it's
Look
not
at all
monotheism.
of them.
It's not monotheism.
But I understand. I'm going over
Got
your
indigenous.
head. What I'm saying is everybody got a deity. Everybody not
No. I said Hinduism does not rely on one deity. It's not monotheism.
Well, that ain't the point. But they
It is the
believe in
point.
something. They believe in something.
So people in the Stone Age had symbolic thought and symbolized things and had beliefs. I never said that.
I didn't say you did.
I said one way to believe.
But I'm gonna tell you this: you're gonna always be, teach in the science room, man. You can't teach out in the church.
I can't teach. My fault. I thought this was my show. I had no idea it was the church. No. I apologize if I'm in the church. If I'm in the church, get the hell off the line, because this ain't church. Y'all have got me.
All right, there you go. There you go.
You thought that this was a lecture in church. My fault. My name.
No. So you can word it how you want to word it, but you got a lot of religious. You got a lot of religious people looking at this, man. That's all I'm saying.
And I know. You know what I wish though, Suntan?
What?
And I'm gonna move on. I wish 20 years ago I had a person like me that I could look to that could guide me into recognizing that humans existed more than 6,000 years ago, and would give me explanations to the hard questions on what we all got hard questions. That's why 99% of the people in the chat ain't Christians, right? They be like Hebrews. That's a transition away from Christianity. They be like New Age thinking. They believe in the ancestors, they believe in the spirit. Most people in the chat, they just as atheists as me when it comes to Christianity, and they know it. And if I brought them up here and question, they're gonna say, "No, I deal with the Most High, the elemental." They're gonna say all that, bro. Right. So I ain't the bad guy. I'm simply
who said you were.
Hold on. I'm simply tapping in to where I know you at. Most people Christians ain't over here like that, bro.
But nobody said you're the bad guy, huh?
I know, but listen, I don't mind that. But imagine this though. Christianity ain't over here in the chat. So since Christianity ain't over here in the chat, then I'm on my damn A game. Then I'm taking them to the next step. Easy bands. But go ahead, Cedric. Make your point, then we'll go to easy bands with the super voice.
Powerful presentation on. I keep saying it's about time we start to get real and tell people we understand where the concepts and ideas of God's come from, right? They come from the minds of human beings. It's our imagination. To the point you were just making, and also Suntan, everybody's got a God. So if everybody's got a God, then we can understand that it must be human imagination, right? And if every God is different and throughout time God's change, that's an illustration of the evolution of the thought process of human beings.
It's different though, Cedric. Different than that. I'm gonna let you get the mic right back. All I'm saying is,
we're not doing that. No, this
is not going back and forth.
Hold on. Let him finish.
Okay, well, I ain't got nothing to say. Yeah, it's your show. I'm gonna make a show, and then I'm gonna.
No, it's not that. I'm saying we don't want to start the cut off because Cedric is superior in cutting niggas off and never let them talk again. Please don't aggravate this man today. That's what I'm asking you. I'm asking you, let that man finish. His mic is louder than everybody else. So he's just better than us at doing that. That's all I'm saying. Man, he was cool. Don't get him started. Go ahead, Cedric.
Yeah, and so as we continue to develop as human beings, right, we start to employ different tools to understand the reality of the world around us. Nothing that we do takes away one's belief system, right? But this information is allowing you to challenge your own belief systems. Face the fact we can believe things that are wrong, right? That's also part of being a human. So now all we are doing is here are the tools. This is the evolution of these concepts. This is how you understand it. Put things into perspective. And there are some people that are going to take this information and be able to use it to their advantage, and that there are going to be others that completely dismiss it. That's okay. But we are obligated to put this information out there, right? And you need, and everybody needs to understand that we can believe things that are wrong, and we use tools naturally. That it's called discernment. I can say some stuff sometimes that you're going to watch me and say, by no measure of the imagination will I believe you. And you would be justified in doing so because it's not warranted. Once you have these tools, we're just asking you to apply them, but you need to have the tools, and that's what we do. That's it.
Yeah, you know, but I do have the power of research in the mind too. If you say something, then I can research.
All right, bet. We're gonna move to Easy Band. Easy Band, what's on your mind, man?
Well,
Welcome.
here go my proof right here. Go ahead, Easy Band.
Welcome to your show, Easy Band.
What's going on? Sometimes, man, you better stop that, bro. Because I always try to make peace with you, man. But you try to put me in a box where, ignore whatever this guy says because he's Christian. I could say the same thing about you. Let's ignore what this guy says because he's not Christian. You feel me? And to Ankh too, let's ignore whatever Ankh says because he believes in evolution or he's atheist. So that's the wrong way to go. And you're an elder. You should be wiser about trying to do that to people. But anyways, let's get back to the topic. Ankh.
Very good, bro.
So Ankh, okay. So the question or the topic of the live that I came into was basically, did people in the Stone Age believe in God, right? Something like that, right?
And one God.
Or is there evidence? Is there evidence of a belief in God in the Stone Age?
Yeah.
So
evidence of belief in God in the African Stone Age.
Huh?
Yeah, in the African Stone Age. It's the reason why I did that. I wanted to strike up a thought. I wanted to, let me hear what you're saying, and I want to see your response to it. To see, maybe I should tweak the title, maybe I got the wrong. Just go ahead. Let me hear what you think I was trying to say.
So with the title as it is, it's obvious that there was a belief in a God, monotheistic God in the Stone Age, because the Stone Age, as you covered, covers a range of 3 million to 2000 BCE, right?
Yeah, until they start producing metals.
Well, which is like about 2000 BC.
But I went early Stone Age on you, so I'm gonna put early Stone Age. Go ahead.
So technically, that's what I'm saying. Technically,
no, whoa, no monotheism though, or just God. When we saying God,
if you look at the Bantus, for instance, there's a Bantu creator god called Nyambe or Mulungu, right? And linguists have set the date back in for belief in this god to about 6000 BC. All right. And in this theology, he's basically the creator god of everything. Spirits.
So
earth.
Let's see. I like that critique. I what I wanted to try to show was that humans move towards monotheism or move towards belief in one all-powerful God. It wasn't an out of nowhere thing.
Okay.
You get my point? Like, I wanted to show in the record that they moved to that position. They evolved to that position. That's really, you know what I'm saying? Like, and you can see it. You can see the more ancient religions, like Egyptian, Greek, Romans, they had the multiplicity of things. Right now in Africa, if you get to the traditional system, there's a multiplicity of things. Now, watch this. You may argue over the Bantu God you're talking about, right? Which I don't know nothing of, so I'm not going to do like most of you, argue down about that. I'll have to look at that. But I guarantee there's going to be a multiplicity of things around that, and it would take a monotheistic mind to look at that and even make it that. I don't think the Bantu were thinking in terms of monotheistic. I think they was thinking in terms of spirits, of ancestors, and the combination of these things. You know what I'm saying? And so we don't have that worldview yet.
Can I just clarify?
That's not where we at.
Can I just clarify that so that you can continue? I want you to continue. So with the Bantu God, right? They believe that he's the almighty creator of everything, spirits, everything. They understand.
What's the name of the God? Let's look him up.
Yeah, Mulungu. So look up the Bantu God Mulungu, M-U-L.
Hold on. Let me get to it. Hold on. M-U-L.
U-N-G-U / Nyambe, because some Bantu people will call him Nyambe.
Spell it.
Nyambe.
Let's see what we get here. Bantu. We'll put the word Bantu.
Yeah. Bantu.
Bantu.
Almighty God, Almighty Creator God of the Bantu speakers.
Let's see what we get. And then I want to, I like to. I got the dictionary of deities too, though. Yeah. Have we give it that N? Let me see. M-U. All right, while we processing it. All right. Mulungu. I got Mulu. That's a god. Hold on. What part of Africa?
So South Central Africa, around there. That's where.
Yeah, you mean like Kulu?
No, I don't know. But that sounds familiar as well. But so some other tribes might refer to him as that. I'm not sure. Yeah. But were you able to find it?
Yeah, it say Mulungu or Nambe are names applied to supreme creative principles across multiple Bantu-speaking societies in Central, East, and South Africa. It say these terms are not names of a single standardized god, but linguistic and theological equivalents within related cultural systems. Mulungu is widespread amongst Eastern and Central Bantu languages. It goes on to say Nyambe, especially prominent amongst Southern Bantu groups, notably the Zols, of the Zambi region. Conceptual characteristics.
I'm from
Cross
Zambia.
Bantu cosmology, Mulungu typically exhibits the following features: creator, not ruler, responsible for the origin of the cosmos, humanity, animals, morals, order, does not govern daily affairs directly, transcendent and distinct after creation. Mulungu withdraws from the world. It say this distance explains the absence of regular worship in temples dedicated to the soul thing. You was about to say something?
No, I'm basically I'm agreeing. So let me just throw in like the little story that happens with Mulungu. So he creates everything. He lives on Earth for a little bit, and then because of the sins of man, he decides to leave the Earth, right? And he cuts ties with humankind, right? And then humankind, because he's cut ties and abandoned them, they start reaching out to the lower spirits that he created. Okay, so they start reaching out to these spirits for help in natural disasters and things like that, and that's how you get veneration or worship towards these spirits that you have today. But there was a belief in the Almighty Creator that created all that, including the spirits.
All right.
Yeah. So I was nodding my head because all that you're reading agrees with basically what I know about this Creator God.
This is like a principle, though, not actually like.
I mean, that's
I'm just saying.
That's semantics to me because I'm African, right? And so,
all right. So let me say this. So
let me just add one more thing, right quick. The word Mulungu, we still use the word Mulungu to talk about Yahweh to this day. So we've just transferred the word to Yahweh.
Yeah, see that? See what you're doing? I'm gonna say this, and the short answer, yo, not the strict sense, bro. That's not a monotheistic God, yo. All right. They call it diffused monotheism. Monotheism, diffused, not classic monotheism.
Unc, I know it's not classic monotheism in terms of all the statutes and formulas that create modern thinking of monotheism. But it doesn't negate the fact that this is a single creator God that created everything, including the spirits that are worshipped and venerated today, including the earth and everything in it.
Easy bands, listen. At a certain point, yo, you gotta stop looking through the world of colonialism, yo.
God, bro.
Watch this. No, watch this. No, watch this. Hold on, relax. Just check it. Because we do that, right? Check this. Listen. You can't even apply the word God to that. Because once you apply the word God to it, it takes us all in a different space, and now it gives dramatic tribes control of what we're doing. I think you teaching, hold on, yo, this is serious. I think you strictly teaching on, watch this, yo, strictly teaching on Malugu, I think is deep, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And you say, is there an equivalent to Malugu? Hell no. That would not fit Yahweh, bro, because Yahweh is clearly in the affairs of men and always talking back and forth and sacrificing kids. So I'm saying you like doing some cross-pollination. You hold on, catch up what I'm saying. Yo, listen, don't fight this.
You're wrong. That's
saying,
why.
If you truly,
Unc, let me tell you why you're wrong.
You're not catching it.
Let him have it. He's not gonna catch it.
Yeah, hey, easy bands. Listen, if you think,
listen, if we disagree, you can't just go to. It's all good, man.
No, I'm saying, do you realize that these people lived in an environment prior to Christianity and monotheism? Prior to they live in an environment without dramatic tribal understanding of a mighty man. Yeah. And so we don't always have to have things that and that's the new thing. You know, that's the new thing in anthropology. You know, hold on, easy band. Do you realize that what I'm telling you is how anthropologists now are trying to do it? Like the word nature. For a long time they said nature meant God, and you would be arguing that. Yeah, nature mean God. But to understand it in its African context, or to understand what you're saying in this band-tuned indigenous concept, bro, it ain't that. Now, that doesn't make it lesser, right? See, this is where our mind had to start working so we can really understand what was they trying to convey. That's why I took you all the way back to 87,000 years. I wanted to kind of give a representation of what those people was understanding without all the clutter of the one God and all that. But go ahead, man.
Yeah. Can we build just because you're saying a lot, right? And I want to stay on track with everything.
I'm the host. It matters. I'm gonna make sure I say more than everybody else.
No, I'm not critiquing you. I'm just saying I want.
No, I said I'm the host. I'm gonna say more. Go for it. Take your time.
Okay. So first, with the Bantu concept and how we think about God, we actually believe in gods and spirits and all this stuff. And you say that anthropologists, the way they're starting to look at stuff now, they're starting to like separate it and like explain it in their own way. And
explain it from your perspective.
No, but that's the thing. They don't explain it from a Bantu African perspective. They explain it from their own thinking. So they're using. No, I'm telling you right now, bro. They're using Eurocentric mind views and mindsets to try to explain what's going on. Now, these Eurocentric talking points are new.
Like God and spirit.
So these
right, like the words. So when we talk about Eurocentric, the moment we say God, the moment we say spirit, right, in our lexicon. That's a Europeanized frame of reference, right?
Have some discipline, brother. Let me get out my thought, brother.
The concept of spirit starts.
You got a question? Hold on. Do you got a question around?
You see,
78,000 years ago, bro. Do you have anything around that?
Unc, you won't even let me finish. So let me
finish it out, bro. Because you just not going. You just made that up on purpose. You purposefully did, but I'm saying they're trying to get away from.
I'm telling you right now. I'm telling you right now.
Listen, and you want to speak in absolutes. You want to get a group of anthropologists that are still trying to put it in the European context. I'm saying they are moving away from that. Do you realize what the word moving away from that is? That is allowing your anthropologists, your indigenous people to speak for themselves, bro. And you keep shaking your head, no.
They're not.
And you know what? At this point, we're at an impasse. Because I'm not going to allow this to drag on for 10 hours while you act like white people don't got enough sense. You know what? Maybe we should shut up some time and sit there and ask them what is that they talking about. Maybe we shouldn't open our own criterion. That's all I'm actually saying.
Why are you going to open up the panel if you don't want to have a discussion? And I don't
want to have a discussion about religion because the conversation actually wasn't about that. The conversation was actually showing you the transition to a God. See, that's what you playing with me at. I showed you how they transitioned to that point. Is what I did. What you did was you grabbed a particular time span, right, and talked about the Bantu people, and then lied on anthropologists. So we already know anthropologists constructed it in a European state of mind. As soon as you say God, you have constructed it into a European state of mind, and you gotta stop talking, Easy Band. I'm never gonna let you out talk me.
So don't be scared.
What I'm saying is, but you're never going to out-talk me. Because we'll just move on to the next episode. So what I'm saying, Easy Bands, is let's get this straight. Let's understand what I'm trying to tell you, bro. Relax. Take a deep breath. As soon as you say God, it's constructed in the Hebrew, Christian, Germanic, tribal thought. And I'm saying anthropologists made that mistake. And I gave you the example. It's called nature. We all figured it meant God. Now, some of them have moved to the space to recognize that doesn't really mean that. What do the Egyptians say it means? That's all I'm saying, bro. And I said, for you, you can explain your idea, your concept in an African manner that does not require it to be a specific God. That's all I'm saying. Like the world, like the word, you don't got to do that. You don't got to do that, Easy Band. But guess what you're doing? I'm going to let you talk, and you will officially put it right back in the European culture container and explain how we did have all these things.
Yes.
So watch this.
Yes.
Since we did have all these things, since you think European culture and European religious thinking is the most important thing in the world, go ahead and make them Africans European.
Yes.
I'm going to mute out and I'm going to let you go. Matter of fact, I'm going to let you go for 2 minutes straight, Easy Band. Show me what the difference is, bro. Go.
Thank you. So you see what Ank's trying to do. He's trying to basically bring in these new age Eurocentric talking points and put that on African people and say that represents African thought. I'm coming from as culturally African, right? Born and raised in Africa. I know how the people think. We know how our traditional people think. We have our traditions. We have our, rituals, etc. Right? Now, when we go through our rituals, when we go through all that stuff, we see that spirits are worshipped. Okay, we talk about spirits like in a real, like the same way you would understand the spirit, right? That's the same way we understand the spirit. We talk about, we have rituals where people get possessed by these spirits. So the spirit actually enters the person, and the person starts dancing and convulsing and doing whatever, or basically prophesying. All these things actually happen in African tradition. So now for these new age anthropologists to try and just like remove these concepts from our consciousness is, like I said, a Eurocentric position. And then an African like me telling you that we do actually look at these things in this light, you want to just basically garbage my argument, you see? So, okay, now the reason why I brought up this Mulungu, right, is because of the similarities he has with Yahweh in the Bible. He creates the earth and everything. He creates the cosmos, as you basically put it. He creates everything, including the angels, including the spirits, including everything within the cosmos. The same thing with the Abrahamic God. Now, if you're stuck on the word God originating from the Germanic tribes or whatever, these concepts that I'm talking about, both Yahweh and this Bantu God or Bantu Supreme Creator, they both predate the Germanic thought. Okay, we're just using a word right now that anybody can relate with and understand what we're talking about. So whatever, let's not use God, let's use Creator, Ultimate Creator. Okay, so basically, this Mulungu God or Nyambe, he actually lives on Earth for a period of time. Okay, so that means he's physical and he lives on Earth. And then, because of the sins of man, he decides to leave the Earth and returns to his abode in the heavens, wherever it is. Now, you find similar stories like this in the Bible, where you find God was walking with Adam and Eve in the garden, etc., etc. And then you see he gets upset with mankind, and he even tries to basically he allows a flood to happen, right? So you see similar concepts going on. And now the reason why, this is what I said last time, the reason why you see a lot of modern Africans latch on to Christianity in the way that we do is because they were able to see the similarity as well. They were able to see that in their theology, the creator God that created the spirits that they're now left at the mercy of, that creator God in the gospel, in the Abrahamic faith gospel, is actually wanting to have a relationship with them. So in their theology, he had abandoned them and left because of all the sin they were making. Now in Christianity, they're being told that this same creator God or creator being wants to have a relationship with them. And that's why these people latch on to these kind of concepts the way they do.
You're done, bro. You're done. You're done. So basically, They just a bunch of damn Christians in the Garden of Eden saying the same thing with no creative powers over anything. I got you. King J, what's up? Appreciate that, though. I thought they had a vast imagination than that. Thank you for making it just like that. Appreciate you, bro. Good job on explaining indigenous African concepts that is just like the Hebrew tradition. Now, appreciate that, bro. Did a great job, yo. Great job in your anthropological. King J, what's going on, bro? My man.
I feel you. I agree with Unc. Easy Band. I don't think you really would even get to say any of that, because I think what you start with a faulty premise, so you came up with a faulty conclusion. So you're lacking contextualism, because historians today they fight hard to keep their 21st century unbiased viewpoints out of his. All they're doing is recording history through an unbiased viewpoint. They're not and putting their own viewpoints on it. When you do that, you distort history. So when the brother Unc is talking about our concept of God today, 21st century, is not the same as it was in ancient times, that's correct. The moment you do that, it's called contextualism. You're not contextualizing, putting yourself in that time period, asking the question why.
So let me ask you this.
Hold on, Easy Man. Nope.
Hey, let me get in right quick, because I've been listening on the side. I just had to jump in, and I'm saying, you asking him the wrong words. You're asking him the wrong thing. Number one, what part of Africa you from, brother?
Zambia, South Central.
What was their culture before Christianity came in?
So, like I said, they believed in.
What was the culture of your ancestors?
They believed, so the ultimate culture that we had, we believed in one creator being that created everything, including the spirits, and then we related
to the quick. Don't give me a lecture like Apostle.
You heard that, right?
Right.
So one creator being that created the spirits, he left, and then now we commune with the spirits to help us.
You crossed over to Christianity.
There you go.
What?
You crossed over to Christianity.
What are you talking about?
You know what I'm talking about? You're a Christian, right?
I'm Christian, yeah.
You're a Jesus lover, right?
Yes, sir.
When did Jesus come into Africa? And how?
So Jesus came into Africa from the dawn, right? The first convert into Christianity was an Ethiopian eunuch called I forget his name, but he was an Ethiopian eunuch, and he was baptized by Philip. So this is within, I think, 10, 15 years of Jesus Christ.
Hey, you know what you got to do, right?
What's that? I know I like to tag
get say cool on his ass. That's all you got to do.
You ain't got nothing for me, man.
First of all, on his ass, man.
I wanted to let him go for a minute. Right?
Yeah, say cool on him.
I wanted to kind of let them go. You know, I like to let them dig their hole. Said, you know how we let them dig their hole for a minute?
Yeah.
And then I'm very, very interested. And he spoke up for indigenous Africans, but he lives in fear of practicing like the indigenous Africans practice. And he makes it closely related to Christianity. That is amazing to me.
We got feedback.
He feel like he was trying to big up the African system, but he talked about it in terms of Christianity, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I realized he's suffering from an inferiority complex, because if he wasn't, right, he obviously thinks that the system that he talked about is inferior to Christianity and won't allow him to get to heaven or get to wherever the hell he think he's trying to go. Because if that was the case, he would not be a Christian.
So the reason
somewhere along the line, he think that his system that he came from is inferior.
Right.
You don't need to switch that up. It's something they was doing wrong. So now the real question is, what the hell were they doing wrong? And they must have got it wrong.
Let me
the
tell
God
you what.
you talked about must not have been the real creator, right? And now you would need Jesus Christ. No, stay right there. Why don't you practice your indigenous system? So what part of that do you think they got wrong? Since you said
he done left his ancestors and picked up King James.
So let me tell you what.
Damn, brother.
Yeah, get straight to yo. That's right.
Is that you in the back, brother? Let us see. So okay.
Hey, you funny for doing this. You popped up. I ain't even need the help. I was gonna get there, but you came and got me straight to it. Easy bangs.
Okay.
He picked you, yo. Go ahead, Easy Bands. We are listening on why.
He done picked up his He done picked up
All right.
King.
Let me just add this.
And dropped
Even
No, Cedric, no.
no sin in Africa.
I'll be quick.
No sin in traditional African spirituality.
We want to hear it. Easy Bands. Listen, bro. Since you want to make this a conversation about when there's not the Stone Age, go ahead and explain why you left. Go ahead, explain.
I'll tell you why. Because with the system as it is right now, I mean, if you go there right now and ask people in certain areas, they live in fear. Okay, a lot of these spiritual beliefs cause psychological issues with people because they're at the mercy of these spirits, and these spirits are not moral in the way that human beings are. Okay, so that's why I left. That's why my dad left. That's why his dad left. You guys are laughing, right? You guys
hold on.
Out there.
Easy Band, hold on. Listen, Easy Band, hold on.
Out there, man.
Easy Band.
Okay, Suntan, if you have a question, just ask me and I'll
clarify. No. Easy Band.
That's out there. That's all I said.
Hold on. Everybody stop.
Try to understand what I'm saying.
Easy Band, listen to me, man. Just listen, bro. Do you realize?
What did I say? Just repeat my argument. Still, man, my argument.
You said the spirits are immoral.
Mm-hmm. I said no. I said no. That's not what I said. I said they're not moral in the way that we would understand morality. Okay?
Yeah. So, I said it. I got you. You just listen, bro.
No. So what's my argument?
I'm saying that you actually have a Eurocentric argument, bro.
You see,
right.
He doesn't even know
that is what. Let me finish. Easy Band, don't cut me off. Easy Band. I'm telling you, this is what colonial powers said about our traditional systems, bro. You, out of everybody, I'm trying to tell you that anthropology is no longer. Watch this. Check this out. Look. Modern anthropology, how they view indigenous beliefs, right? It says contemporary anthropology explicitly rejects equating indigenous belief system with modern doctrine and religions, yo. It say the field now treats indigenous cosmology as historically situated, cultural specific systems rather than early or incomplete versions of Christianity, Islam, Judaism, or faith. Bro, you're actually equating it with modern faiths now, and you're saying it's immoral, bro. You're only saying that because Europeans said that what you was doing was immoral and not practical. You doing that. I had no idea you did that, bro. That is amazing. Did you do that, Easy Band? So Easy Band, I'm not mad at you switching your religion. You can do that. But don't come up here messing with me for you didn't transition the show to a religious conversation only to find out that you're the white person that's looking black talking about your indigenous spiritual system like
y'all see how
that is amazing to me, bro.
Y'all see how the Europeans
thank you for that. Thank you for that, son.
Y'all see how the Europeans have messed with Unc's head because Unc believes that an African telling you as an African is Eurocentric. That's how the Europeans have messed with Unc's head. Now, let me explain what I'm saying to y'all, man. Look, in Africa right now, if you say you're a woman, you want to get married or whatever, you can go to a witch doctor and put a spell on somebody and make that person fall in love with you. Hold on. If somebody owes you money, or if you think for some reason somebody did you dirty in a business deal or whatever, you could go to a shrine and put that person's picture there and bring death to that person. Okay?
Yeah, right.
People live in fear, bro.
Hold on. All right, stop right there. So you mean the voodoo priest can't put Donald Trump picture up there, yo, and get him out of that part of Africa, yo, real quick?
No. So now you're running.
Hold on. I'm going to ask you again.
Now you're running.
Let me, hold on. I'm asking you, how come the witch doctors, I don't even like the term witch doctors, like that's some white people shit for real, but how is it that they can't put the picture of the colonial powers that's in their country messing with their resources, bro? Why can't they say, boo, 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 make a better deal? And then all of a sudden, like robots, the Europeans come make better deals.
So basically what you're saying now, you're running from Okay. So
they can beat up on indigenous Africans. So
you're running.
Can't beat up on them damn colonial powers.
Last time you dropped a bomb, it was because of Morpheus, and he read some stuff that was actually agreeing with me. Remember that?
Nah, man.
No, I don't remember that.
saying
Okay, I'm gonna show you. I have
No, but that's a good question, brother. How come they are not putting up pictures of those who are ruling Africa right now, especially where you are? In your continent, how come they not putting up those pictures? See, so that's bull crap. Let me tell you what I always say, Unc. Only if you believe in stuff like that, it affects you. But if you don't believe in that stuff, it don't bother you. See, anything that's bad happened to you, what's the first thing an African say? Oh, he got a root on me. He got some spell on me. That's because y'all are believers. But if you didn't believe that nonsense, you wouldn't have to worry about that.
But in the Christian tradition, you get cursed. In the Christian tradition, you get cursed.
Why did I move from these beliefs to Christianity? That was the question. It wasn't whether those beliefs work or not on certain people. That wasn't. So I'm explaining to you why I moved from those beliefs.
Easy band. I don't understand it. You just fought.
You don't have people with
in the Christian tradition. You are cursed. In the Christian tradition, you are cursed. In the Christian tradition, you are
you get me now, don't you?
So you leave from a tradition where the curse is possible to one where you're
you got more to come.
Make it make sense.
You got more to come, huh?
Hey, yo, you know what? Easy bands. Guess what you did on purpose, yo? You sucked me into a religious argument, yo. You made something right. I wasn't even trying to do that, yo. Why did you do that, bro? So basically, you're not educating on what I was actually talking about earlier. What I was talking about earlier, hold on. Listen, maybe I have to change the title. I was trying to show you how early humans transitioned into certain ways of thinking. It didn't just pop up out of nowhere. It was a transition to making stick figures. First, you have to understand master palettes and colors and use their symbols, geometric symbols. Then you start to do stick figures. And then later on in Egypt, where they start to have mastery over statues and the human body and making it, anatomically correct. I'm saying I'm an art student, and most of us couldn't draw an anatomically correct human at all. It takes stages of development to learn how to draw that. You have to have information about the skeletal system and how to place the skin on it and muscle. So in art class, we start with drawing boxes first. With charcoal, we master that color, different shades. Then we start to learn how to draw skeletons, and we draw skeletons for daggone 2 months. And then we draw muscles. And then out of nowhere, a daggone naked woman come in the damn room, bro. Seriously. And you got to draw her. See how that transitioned to the human form in the Nile Valley, bro? You could tell that they understood anatomy, right? Because they started to draw human form. They had a symbolic representation, but there are statues that are anatomically correct. The Greeks take that and they make anatomically correct statues and drawings and pictures looking just like the person, right? And I'm saying they don't just pop up drawing that. That's my whole point was we transitioned to one God. You came in this joint. I'm thinking, okay, you African, you take me back and say, yeah, we had the one God. Wait a minute, bro.
6,000 BC.
You messed up the whole conversation.
Say one thing regarding your
talk about the spirits. That's what threw me.
Easy man. You better get off of that stuff before you end up just like Apostle when you get older, brother. It's gonna be too late. It's gonna be too late.
Hey, guess what?
We're good.
Hey, let's hear from Yara,
Yeah, go ahead, yeah. That's what
oh damn, he just got off. Then you got Gideon in here.
You got Gideon.
Let me just say one thing.
It was religious. It was religious 78,000 years ago.
Yeah, regarding that. Regarding that. What I want to say,
what I want to say, practicing religion 78,000 years ago.
No. They was thinking about their environment and trying to figure out things. And
I got it right there. Put it on the screen, Si. Put it on the screen real quick.
I don't see it. It ain't on there. You gotta do it.
It's right there in the chat. I mean, right there. Yes, there's strong evidence that early spiritual realistic behavior was around 78,000 years ago, particularly with discovery of a child's burial in Kenya, demonizing essential care of dead, suggesting emotional death and possibility, proto-religion beliefs through formal religion as we know it, developed later, more complex practice.
See, there you go. Read it again, son. See, this is the point. Now you got to come. I agree with the statement. That's just what I saw.
Though
Yeah.
formal religion, as we know it, developed later with more complex practices like cave art and ancestor veneration in the middle upper Paleolithic,
Yeah, that's good.
45,000 to 10,000 years ago. So at 78,000 years ago, we were not practicing religion. What you see is symbolic thought, spiritual, ritualistic behavior. So we start to do our behaviors over and over. The way we bury, the way we draw.
My point is that nobody. Like, what's the bomb for? What's the bomb?
Because you weren't talking, Easy Bands. We ain't talking to you. We talking to Suntan. We ain't talking to you. We already know. We figured you out already. You done. You died in the episode. You gotta come back to the next episode.
So regarding your argument,
no. We're talking about the sources on the thing right now. The source clearly says there's a transition to religion. This is a great source he has brought. We just have to make sure we comprehend it properly. Right. So Easy Bands, you jump in the line, bro. Let's let Gideon in there, man.
Formal religion as we know it today. Nobody's arguing that they have as we know it today.
Listen, we can't even trust you because you're a Christian playing indigenous African.
You're doing
right. You're a Christian interpreting
this on purpose. He doesn't want
indigenous African, and then you say they lost their mind with it.
Scary, man. Why you?
Listen, Uncle said the deity left them.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm saying. Right. So hold on. Before
they had to get another one.
That
was our
You didn't say that. You didn't say that, did you?
So hold on.
Yeah.
Easy Man, you said that? Oh, Easy Man, you said they left?
The deity left.
You said that?
What are you talking about? You talking about Mulungu? Yeah, he left.
The deity left y'all. He got mad and left y'all. Yeah. So y'all picked up Christianity.
Is that what you said?
Yeah, no, I thought you heard that, man.
Yeah, so that's the story. It's not what I said. The deity that created everything.
Where is Gideon at, yo?
He left, but let's not go there. I wanted to speak
Gideon right there.
Yeah, yo. Come on, man. No, this show ain't about you, bro. You turned to this. Move on to the next person. You'll get it in and be calm down.
1 second.
Calm down. Listen.
For like 10 minutes.
You died in the episode, bro. As soon as you said you was a Christian and fought me over anthropology and then interpreted through the eyes of Europeans, you definitely lost. I'm never letting you get off the hook with that.
So y'all really don't want to have
we see how you did that. Witch doctor this, that ain't even the name for it. Yo, when you say witch doctor,
all you want to do
is the name witch doctor. Hold on, is the name witch doctor? Is the name witch doctor? Hold on, is the name witch doctor? What is a witch doctor?
So let's talk about what you brought your topic about.
No, what is a witch doctor? I'm asking what a witch doctor is. A witch doctor is a person that can put unmoral spirits in the people.
Baby. So hold on. Before a baby knows how to say I'm hungry, right? Can you feed them? Before a baby knows how to do that.
Easy man, you gonna get a chance again. I'm moving on, bro. Relax. Get in. What's up, man?
Shalom. What's going on, Unc? How you doing?
How you doing, man? Can you get this man? Yo, tell us, man. He trying to equate Mulukulu with Yahweh. Man, please explain that, man. Tell him.
Well, first of all, I want to give all praises to the Most High in the name of Yahshua HaMashiach. Peace to sa.neter. Appreciate you letting me on. Uncle again, Elder Suntan, all the brothers, King J, Easy Band, Cedric. Actually, man, the brother is actually right, man. If we read, and I'm going to a black scholar right now. Hold on. I'm going to a black scholar right now. This is
He right about
this is an ancient scholar who I'm going to use, and it's based on anthropology and the records that she have, which were as extensive as the Europeans have, which is Drusilla's Dungeons Houston, where she mentions that the earliest Africans, or rather the earliest Cometians, practice the culture of worshiping one deity. We have all the gods, and Yame, that's a creator god. Ngi from the Bantu people, all the cultures across Africa has a creator deity, which then splits off into sub-deities or different appellations or personifications of nature. So that was always the case. And Elder Suntan, you disappointed me when a brother was running it down and actually saying the detriment of having all these different priesthoods, and that's how I'm gonna describe them. Priesthoods has all these dangers and perils with it, and the brother broke it down. And Elder Suntan, old as you is, you said, yeah, right, like that's not happening. That's
No, I don't believe in
disingenuous,
all that
OG.
spirit stuff,
No,
Gideon. I don't believe in that spirit stuff.
but no, but they believe in it,
Yeah,
and
we
that's
know
why
that.
it's not.
That's why
That's why
can he
it's
wake
not.
up?
All
Hold on,
right,
and that
relax. Hold on. Let's
and
bring some clarity. Get in. We need to bring clarity. So,
right.
at no point did I say ancient African culture or African culture did not have one deity. Just one deity. I didn't say that. Y'all have turned the argument and thought I forgot. The conversation was that they transitioned into that based off of steps in evolution of said subject matter and understanding. That's what I said. At no point did I say the Christians and all of them had it first, because I could go to Iran, Zoroastrianism. They clearly had one deity. That wasn't the point of the conversation. The point of the conversation was to show the public, right? sa.neter TV, because this is what we like to do, that it's a transition to get to that. In early humans, in the early Stone Age, was dealing with the multiplicity of things. And then as writing came into being and things like that, you can see it. Then they started to transition to one God. At no point did I say that his Bantu people didn't have one God. My conversation with him was that please start looking at the Bantu through the eyes of the Bantu. And I thought it was through his eyes. And then I realized he's a Christian beating the hell out of the Bantus. That was the amazing part to me, Gideon. So don't get what I was saying misconstrued. Now let's go with GOK. What's going on, brother? Unmute yourself. This nigga's broke.
Hey, what's up, sa.neter? What's up, what's up, everybody on the panel? What's up to the chat? Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
I have two questions for you, and Cedric as well. And this is just from your perspective. I don't want it from a religious perspective. I want it from your perspective, from where you think and your point of view. How do you explain the breath, the spirit that's within man?
News in Washington. I'm Ryland Park.
How do you explain that, and what's your thoughts on it? That's the first question. Huh?
How do you the use of oxygen as the fuel for carbon processing throughout mammals?
No, I'm talking about the breath, the spirit of man, like the and maybe the spirit, the man's spirit. Like we all have a spirit. Man has a spirit. Man has a soul. And I'm saying that, but I want to get what your perspective is as far as the spirit, the soul of man, and explain it from your perspective and your way of thinking. Thank you.
I don't want to give you from my perspective. I want to give it to you from the lenses of biology, that the things you just mentioned are religious based ideas, which is okay. From an anatomically, biological processes, the spirit is a religious thing, and it has nothing to do with human beings having the ability to evolve. The thing that humans came from maybe 2.4, I would say around maybe 3.5 billion years, had the ability to escape. It's called the Great Oxidation, if I'm saying this right, where oxygen is actually a poison and killed anything. Only the things that could survive in the environment that had oxygen later on, 3 billion years later, is around. So obviously, whatever, right, extended and ended up 3.5 billion years later, right, end up being us who can handle oxygen. So I would never introduce spirit and soul. That's a religious concept. That's okay. But from a biological aspect, I would always tell people what I just said. Go ahead, Cedric.
The evolution of the ideas of spirit and soul. I did a presentation on it. You can go and check it out on the pseudo killers, where I talked about the evolution of these ideas. In early human beings, animism was the course of action, where all of nature was endowed with a force, right? The forest had a force, the rivers had a force, the trees had a force, etc., etc., etc. That later developed into the ideas of divinity, and then in the in the early Greek philosophical days, they were trying to understand this concept. Why? When I look at you, I see you as a complete entity. But when I think about myself, I possess a body. So the idea of this process, what is this? The idea of spirit and souls develop. In modern science, we now talk about the mind and the processes of the mind. So there is no within the realm of biology, like Ankh said, within the realm of science, soul and spirits are no longer considered conceptual ideas. We talk about the mind when we're dealing with psychiatry and psychology.
All right, we got Yara in the back. Yara, you back?
I have a second
Yeah, I'm back.
question.
All right, hold on. You got a second question, Yara.
Hey, sir, I know I'm about to end this. What time you going live?
In a minute, once you end it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
yeah.
about to, I don't know if you want to keep. I want to get Elder Yara in here, but I'm about to get up off here. I think
All
the
right.
2.5 hours is good for me.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah, no, I understand. I just want one more question. Like, because Cedric had brought up divinity. So, and then you talked about during your lecture, you talked about the next level and getting to this next level. So I wanted to talk about the afterlife. And what are your thoughts on the afterlife? Because you just spoke on the spirit and soul and what that concept is to you.
Yeah.
So to go to the next level and to get us up out of here, what is your concept or what is your thoughts on the afterlife and the spirit or soul? Does it exist beyond the flesh? And what are your thoughts on that? Explain.
So if we want to equate burials with the afterlife, then we had to deal with Homo habilis because they also buried their dead. Homo Neanderthal because they also buried their dead too. So you got humans that predate and are older than Homo sapiens. Sapien was burying their dead. Homo Neanderthal buried flowers with their dead. So there's always been an endowment for early humans, archaic humans, and Homo sapiens sapien of when people die. We don't know what was going through their head. They wasn't right. Okay, so that is also a human idea steeped in religion. It's not based in empirical data because nobody never came back and said they went and did that. It's based in religious traditions. One of the oldest traditions of that we can safely say is in the Nile Valley, right? That afterlife thing is definitely Nile Valley. Simple as that. And so it's a religion, it's a belief system. That's okay. From a scientific aspect, death on earth feeds life. So there is no life without something dying because the things that are living has to feed and decompose off of death. I talk about the forest and how salmon go back upstream, right? And polar bears or bears will eat the salmon. They'll have milk for their young, nourishment. Some of the fish get past the bears and die on the riverbanks and in the forest. Those fish will decompose. Ants will break it down. Animals will break that down. The Miocene gets that those nutrients. Forest trees will grow from those nutrients, right? So once again, death always gives birth to life. So in my understanding, there's actually no such thing as what you would call go to the afterlife, because if you don't die, you can never give rise to the next offspring. If you got kids, at a certain point, you're gonna die. But the death is based off you being around long enough to have valuable offspring. So I'm never doing that. You can ask that, Cedric.
All right, Yara.
Yo, yeah, it was good.
What you got, man? I'm waiting for you, man.
Yeah, no doubt. Shout out to you, family, everybody on the panel. Good presentation. I always appreciate you, man, because you always do come with sources, whether I agree with you or not. So I always appreciate, man, your level of scholarship with that. But I will say this, like,
Okay.
as far as, and I'm not going to hold you to the title because you said multiple times you probably need to change that because that really wasn't what your
Yeah.
presentation sort of said. So I'm not going to hold you to that.
Just
Yeah.
come on
But at the
home. Come on home,
but
Black
at,
Steve. You
but
smart.
at the end of the day, like, we do know that when it comes to man's belief system, as you said before, in an afterlife, and to Easy Band's point, shout out to Easy Bands, this concept of a creator God has existed going back to the earliest cultures. It didn't just start with monotheism, right? Even if you look at the Sand people, right? or what they called the Bushmen. They had a concept of a sky god or a sky daddy, y'all like to call it. And they believed that he was a singular creator deity. That's going back tens of thousands of years. So this is before we get to a Bible, before we get to the Nile Valley concept of the Neteru and all of that types of stuff. Like these people existed in Africa that had these particular concepts. Even when Cedric brought up animism, is it your position that we only get to these different concepts of animism and shamanism simply based on our ability to draw stick figures? Like, we know, both of you and I are artists. I think we established that before. I do know that art imitates life. It's not the other way around, right? You don't develop imagery based on something that you have not believed in yet or you have not observed. So these things, stick figures and stick drawings and handprints and use of ochres and charcoal and different things like that, these things were used to convey a story, right? So when we talk about concepts of religion and whether these things existed or not, there's no evidence of how we knew how these people actually thought and what they thought about, and even how they perceived their everyday lives. We don't know that, right?
Yet you're here making the claim to know though.
Yeah, you're
making the claim to know though. This is weird.
Yeah, I ain't
You just got through making a claim as if you know, talking about the sand having a god. Which god? You can't mention one because it don't have one.
The name. Hold on, Cedric. Hold on, Cedric. You just made a claim that I don't know the name of their god. Their god was called Kagan, Kagggen. You look it up. Don't you tell me what the hell I don't know.
Hey,
you just made that up.
Hey, Yara, Black Sage.
So, yeah.
Hold on. Yeah. Black Sage. Yeah. You got to understand that Africans gave mythos to the world. They created myth. They created all of that. Unc might not agree with that. But where do you think myth come from? When you go all the way back, hold up. When you go all the way back and say, well, the Africans did this and the Twa people did this, because they the creators of it. That don't mean that it was right and exact. They just been having it.
Okay, so are you under the impression that myth? Hold on. Are you under the impression that mythos means something that did not exist? Is that your concept of what myth? Okay, then hold on. Hold on then. What you saying is that you don't know what the hell that they knew.
Let me tell you.
That's my point.
Let me tell you.
You gonna close out the show, right?
You can close out. You can close out right now. I'm just saying that myth comes right up out of Africa. They started all
that. Listen, that's perfectly fine, but myth does not mean it does not exist.
Let me finish. When you go into Egypt and you look at all the gods that they had, all of that stuff comes right up out of Egypt. You disagree with that, That myth started out in Africa?
No, I'm saying getting to the point of one God comes straight out. That's what I just showed.
Yeah.
It transitions to those periods. It's not a
Hebrew but one God is still one God.
That came from
what I'm saying.
Black Sage.
Came from Akhenaten in the 14th.
No, it did not. No, it did not. That's false.
Listen.
That's false. That's what I'm telling you. That's false.
Black Sage, listen, I'm out of here. Listen.
Yeah, I'm good, but in peace.
Hold on. I just appreciate everybody that came on. Great conversation. Appreciate Pseudo Killer, Cedric Official, Gideon, King J. Appreciate sa.neter popping on. Easy Bands, that was crazy, yo. We're gonna go back and listen to this. Elder Suntan. What I would like to say in closing is that there's no evidence of one God being worshipped tens of thousands of years ago. There is evidence of symbolic behavior, cognitive thinking that came way of evolution, things evolving.
I take that debate with anyone.
Cut me off, my nigga. This is what we not doing.
Don't lie though, my nigga.
Okay, so let me be a liar.
You always come with the Baltimore shuffle, dog.
This is close out, y'all.
Be a liar. Listen, I'm saying that there is no evidence of tens of thousands of anybody worshiping no high God. There is evidence from 87,000, 70,000 years ago of human beings having symbolic thought, a representation using pigments and using different things that would later on crystallize as a damn religion that will later on crystallize into one God. There's no doubt about that. Where exactly that is, we don't know. But I'm saying it was stages to get to that. I don't know how y'all changed the conversation to something else, but I'm going to rethink the title because that ain't what that was about. That's all I'm saying. And I'm done with that. You got Chokosiva. Was it Cherokee? Is that Cherokee Siva? Who is that, sir? I can't hear you on mute.
I said we can roll because I'm live right now. I'm dropping the link. Everybody come on across the street to the HOK. Come on over to the HOK, family. We live right now. We getting ready to get it in. Peace, good looking, everybody.
Yeah, we out of, man. Let me end with this, man. Appreciate y'all, man.
Peace, All about.
All right, peace, y'all.
All right, sir.
Yeah, the HOK is the toughest environment. And or at your own risk is the toughest environment. The HOK is the toughest environment. Yeah, stay strong, don't cry. It's the toughest environment. Yeah, no handouts here. You have to earn your respect. And when you do, you make they ass regret. They call it the toughest, and the title is earned from the bridges we crossed and the lessons we learned. In a cool-blooded kingdom, a concrete cage. Muslim, Christian, Israelites step on the stage. I dare you, I dare you, I dare you, I dare you. In a cool-blooded kingdom, sa.neter created. HOK, where you can't fake it. The HOK is where you fight back. No room for error, no window attack. It's a masterclass, how you handle the heat. Where the pedigree is written on the concrete streets. Toughest environment, yeah, we know the score. Locked in on debate and asking for more. The HOK is the toughest environment. Enter at your own risk, it's the toughest environment.